Hey everybody, it's Roger King, and I'm coming to you today from Palm Springs, California, where I'm in the final stages of building a spec home, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that today. I'm going to go through some of the really interesting details, so stick with me. I've got so many things to share, so many thoughts, so many realizations. And again, you know, for somebody who's been investing for 27 years and I've already built, I think it's 11 other homes, custom spec homes, I still learned a few more things on this particular project that I've been involved in 2.5 years. Thanks again for joining me. If you would, please hit subscribe. I'm trying to grow this channel, and I'm hoping to help as many different people in various types of real estate investing as I can, and your subscription really helps boost the channel. Thank you so much. So here I am in Palm Springs. I've been here for just a couple of days. I've been to the site 3 times. I'm headed back over here in just a few minutes. I started taking some video yesterday, but the sun was so hot that the phone stopped recording because it overheated. It was 108 at 6 p.m. when I started recording. So Palm Springs, California, very dry desert, very hot. I think it's 8:25 a.m. right now, and it's already 90 degrees. So you got to pay attention to those types of things. Buy a couple bottles of water and take it with you. So one of the things that I find most fascinating, and I know that I've expressed this a lot before, is this idea of partnership. And we enter into partnerships and they either go well or they go okay, or sometimes they go very badly. And when you've gone through that a couple of times, like I have, you realize that the agreements that you put into place prior to getting into the job, you're gonna find that you can have some strength and some leverage over how these partnerships last, or you can dissolve them. And I'd gone through enough problems and challenges by the time I got into this particular property 2.5 years ago. It was March of 21 that we closed, and today is August 15th. And the idea is that I'd set up the partnerships with people so that if they didn't perform right out of the gate, I could see it and I could make a change and give them a little bit of grace, give them a little guidance. Hey, we've got to change this, we've got to change this. If they don't course correct instantly, they're out of this picture. And that's what happened actually twice on this. Because the first guy, what a nut job. He was just out of control. I learned that he had an alcohol problem, a drug abuse problem. I'd heard that he'd hit a couple people. I don't know if any of this is true. I'm certainly not naming names, but I found all that stuff out after the fact. What I realized is I want to get him out, and I was referred to another person who could be on site designing the house, you know, making sure that this is a really nice remodel. We were gonna remodel for $250,000. I think we paid $870 for it 2.5 years ago. So right when COVID was still looming large, the properties were starting to increase in value pretty significantly. So this new partner, I'd entered into a joint venture agreement and didn't give him any ownership of the house. Just said, look, if you do this and we sell it for this, then you guys get this. If you do it in this time frame, then you get a bonus. And if you get it under budget, you get a bonus. And if it sells for more than this particular amount, then you get a bonus. What I realized about 3 months in, is that there was no sense of urgency on this person. They're like, oh, this other person's handling that, and this other person's handling that. And like, okay, I mean, I need to make sure that this stuff is really happening. I need to make sure that you are honoring the agreement and getting your stuff done. And if you're not, what are you gonna do to course correct? So if I was in that situation, I'd be saying, okay, the only way I'm gonna make money on this is if I get my job done. And they just couldn't pull it together. And so I eventually let this person go, and it was not necessarily difficult. They were holding plans and they were holding designs, and I think they even said that they had already had bought the kitchen cabinets, and the house wasn't even finished being designed. The city of Palm Springs, holy cow, took 15 months to design this new house. So part of the thing with this new partner, the second partner I had on this, he said, look, if we do $450,000, we can actually turn it into a much better house and we can sell it for $2.2 million. I'm like, yeah, I could see putting $200,000 into it, getting back another $500,000, $600,000. That math seemed good to me. And then it became $750,000. If you put $750,000, we're definitely going to be able to sell it for 2.6. And I'm like, okay, I mean, this math to me makes sense. And I certainly have enough capital and I've got enough investors. And if I can see the data that's pointing in these directions, and at the time, everything was really increasing still. As you guys remember, in 21 and early 22, things were just taking off. So I said, let's figure this out. Let's move it forward. And by that point, I think January of 22, the partner was out. He just wasn't performing. He had no sense of urgency. There was nobody getting the draftsman, get his stuff turned back in to the city, turn the stuff around so we could start construction. And it turns out, so I took over. Much of the house had already been designed from a draftsman who didn't have to go through, who didn't go through the first few steps. Normally saying, hey, city permit people, what are your setbacks and what is your dimensions and how much of the lot can we actually utilize for structure? All those types of things were not handled. And I'm coming in 7 months into this. So the house was designed. They are having to shrink the house in weird ways. So the setbacks were not actually met to begin with. So they had to keep shrinking it. They had to lower part of the roof, which was frustrating, and so back and forth with the city. And all of this to say is that now that the house is 95% done, we're installing kitchen cabinets, bathroom cabinets, tile in the bath, countertops are coming in probably next week, the slabs. We have an appraised value of $3.4 million. Will we get $3.4 million? I don't know. I'm not really counting on it. I would love it if it happens because we've only got about $2.5 million into it, just shy of that. The idea here is turning this capital faster and faster. And because of these two partners, I didn't have people that understood because they don't have capital in it. And I knew that going into it. And that's why I said, look, if you're not going to have any capital, if you don't have actual skin in the game, you don't get any ownership or any control of this. But if you wanted to put capital into it, and the minimum I think I was asking was for $450,000, then you can stay in it, but you still have to get these things done. And they didn't want to put any capital in. So I said, okay, you're not going to be able to control it, and I can kick you out at any time. And they both agreed to that, which was, I guess, my experience coaching me on how to actually do that before we got into the job. So big pointer here, if you have somebody that has this experience that you can utilize and you've never built a spec home, for instance, call them up and say, hey, I need to partner with somebody. How can I protect either my money or my time or my designs or any of this stuff? And so that you can get the work done in case somebody else is refusing to. Check those things out, learn how to do that stuff because it's gonna save you time and money. Now, I have always checking in on this market. I know Palm Springs is a booming city right now. It's fantastic. I haven't been here in a while. I've not come back for the construction because it's not been a big requirement. I do see one major design flaw that I despise, but it's still a gorgeous home. There were a couple of other smaller design flaws that I didn't enjoy, but I can live with, and I've corrected. But one in particular just bugs me to no end. I will kick myself for not, raising a red flag saying, wait, you gotta change this thing right now because it's killing me. Anyway, all of that to say, structure your joint venture agreement so you can kick out your partners if you're putting all the capital in. If you've got all of the skin in the game, which I have, be able to kick them out at any point for what we would call cause, for their inability to turn things around in a time frame, for their inability to meet the quality control for that particular property, that particular project, the time frame, the budget, the sales price, all of those things are really, really, really important for you to have control over. And if you need to make that change, you can do it. Anyway, that's it for today. That is my house in Palm Springs. I've got another video coming here in a couple of weeks from the job site again, which should be completed. We should be in the staging process, and then I'll create another, like a full-length video, starting where the house started and then where the house finished. And I'll keep you guys updated on this because I'm actually very proud of it. It's been a long road. I'm happy to get rid of this, get this one off my plate. And so that's today's lesson. Just make sure that you're always in control. Make sure that you are always following up and making sure that people are accomplishing their tasks. And if they're not, what do you need to do? Do you need to course correct, or do you need to let them go? Okay, thanks again. Please hit subscribe, and I hope this was helpful. Talk to you soon.